Yesterday, in an event much hyped by the media, US President Joe Biden met with Russian President Vladimir Putin. This was the last call on Biden's broadly successful European tour, but did this stop meet expectations? What did the two world leaders discuss, let alone agree to? Well, let's explain that right now. Yesterday, Biden and Putin met in Geneva to discuss their countries' increasingly difficult relationship. Leaving the meeting, both leaders insisted that things had gone well, with Putin clarifying that there had been no hostility, and Biden discussing the positive tone of the meeting. And that's certainly a good thing, especially considering the hostile remarks that they've both made about each other in the past. But there's clearly still a vast chasm between the two. Before we get to the disagreements though, what did the two agree on? Well, firstly, during recent tensions, respective ambassadors returned home, but a reversal of that decision will see diplomats return to each other's countries in the near future. Secondly, the two agreed to begin consultation on cybersecurity issues. This comes on the back of growing cyber tensions, especially relating to election integrity and, more recently, the spate of ransomware attacks sweeping the globe. The hope is that with dialogue in place, the two countries can move forward from this position and work together, although little has been agreed thus far. Despite this, Biden seemed somewhat optimistic, emphasizing how important this issue was in a world where cyber warfare was only becoming more important and more dangerous. These were the two major agreements out of the meeting, but there was definitely some disagreement still. One of Biden's core objectives going in was to establish guardrails on the kind of action that could be taken during peacetime, essentially limiting hostility between the two and setting limits on what was considered acceptable behavior. This may have been a core objective going in, but no such guardrails were agreed to during the meeting. At his press conference after the meeting, Putin did seem optimistic though, showing signs that they may be willing to work closer with the White House than in recent years. This will be welcome news to the Biden camp, but they would have been even happier to hear Putin say that we must agree on rules of behavior in all the spheres we mentioned today. That's strategic stability, that's cybersecurity, that's resolving questions connected to regional conflict. While Biden's guardrails might not have been agreed to, these rules of behavior sound incredibly similar, suggesting that progress and agreement might be possible. That being said, some are still skeptical that real progress will be made in the weeks to come. Putin may have hinted at a stronger US-Russia relationship, but with little agreed thus far, some fear it's all talk. Especially as in the same press conference, he continued to deny that the country had human rights issues or that they engaged in cyber attacks. In fact, he went back to his classic tactic of whataboutism, pointing out the flaws in the US to distract from issues in Russia. So while there were some agreements, critics argued that Biden shouldn't have even sat down with the Russian president, suggesting that doing so validated Putin's position and power. But coming out of the meeting, Biden seemed vindicated, remarking, "I did what I came to do." Biden also emphasized the inflection point he believes that we find ourselves at globally, between democracy and autocracy, signaling that meetings like this are crucial to the fight. Therefore, he told the press that in the meeting he'd emphasized that the US would strike back against Russian cyber attacks, that the US wasn't content with Russia's human rights record, if Navalny dies in jail, there will be devastating consequences, and crucially, Biden emphasized that if Russia chooses to violate basic norms of responsible behavior, we will respond. So while the actual concrete achievements of the summit might have been limited, Biden and the US believed that a strong message was sent. Biden was very clear that he didn't expect Putin or Russia to suddenly change strategy, or for them to do anything different for that matter. What they do think, though, is that the meeting helped clear the air, that this might not be a relationship of friendship or trust, but they think that Biden showed clear leadership and a markedly different approach than Trump. Do you agree, though? Do you think that Biden did a good job? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a new video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible. And if you want to see your name at the end of videos, then you too can back us on Patreon. The link to that is in the description.